Bu Fengxian is humanity's vanguard, leading the charge against the gods in the first round of Record of Ragnarok, facing off against Thor himself. He was China's strongest hero and warrior during the Three Kingdoms period. Bu takes the form of a tall muscular man covered with battle scars. His long dark hair is tied with golden pheasant feathers. He sports dragon tattoos, with Flying General tattooed on his right side. It is his nickname describing him on a battlefield, moving freely through it like a flying dragon. Bu is usually bare-chested and barefoot. He wears white pants with a scaled fabric belt and has sharp shark-like teeth. Bu is a fearless and battle-hungry warrior who took immense pleasure in fighting, showing no fear of death or injury. Described by Brunhild as the most barbaric warrior, he was a man of a few words, speaking only when necessary or in combat. Bu was born in 159 AD under a red moon, which was a sign that he was destined to bring bloodshed. He was rescued as a baby from a village raid, where he was the sole survivor. He was adopted by Lu Sheng, who vowed to raise him despite his prophecy of an evil future. From a young age, Bu displayed monstrous strength and a ruthless nature, believing others weak and seeking only worthy opponents. After avenging his village and losing his adoptive father, he wandered Eurasia, challenging and defeating opponents to find a true rival. Bu became known for his fearlessness, battle lust, and barbaric demeanor. Bu rejected offers of power to pursue only strength. Eventually, Bu found himself in a battle where he was surrounded by 200,000, led by Cao Cao. Bu, although knowing he could defeat the enemy, chose to surrender rather than flee. Bu wanted to die because he wanted to fight powerful men, and there were none left stronger than himself. When fighting with a weapon, Bu uses a halberd, a polearm that is a merge between an axe and a spear. He can operate the halberd with perfection, displaying precision, accuracy, and strength. Bu's signature weapon, the sky-piercing halberd, is a divine weapon, enhanced by the Volund of the 4th Valkyrie, Rangris. Bu's halberd was granted the ability to break through any defense, capable of even shattering Jarngripir, the strongest defense in heaven, which was claimed to withstand any attack. Bu is a master horseman, and his skills with riding greatly helped during the Three Kingdoms period. His horsemanship skills were so good that his horse, the Red Hare, could be considered as an extension of his own body. He was also able to keep up with Red Hare's speed, who was fast enough to create a sonic boom. Bu's ultimate move, the Sky Eater, is a superhuman swing where Bu grips the end of the Sky Piercer in one hand and performs a downward swing. The power of this swing is capable of creating an attack, splitting the sky itself in half for miles. During the closing moments of the match between Bu and Thor, both were badly beaten. Eventually, Bu unleashes Sky Piercer on Thor, which was blocked. Though Bu ultimately fell, his arms shattered and weapons broken, he found what he sought all his life, a worthy adversary, and his defeat proves that humanity could go blow for blow with the gods. Adam is humanity's representative in the second round of Ragnarok, where he fights against Zeus, the king of the gods. As the first human created by the divine, Adam is described as the father of humanity, whose descendants came to populate the earth after his expulsion from Eden with Eve. He appears as a young, handsome man, with a lean but muscular build, possessing divine beauty that even captivated the gods themselves. Adam has platinum blonde hair, sky blue eyes, and is often depicted with an apple in hand. In the Garden of Eden, he was naked and unshamed, but after his exile, he covered himself with a simple fig leaf. Adam embodies the very essence of mankind, calm, confident, and collected. He showed no fear even when standing face to face with the gods. Adam, the first human created in God's image, lived with Eve in the Garden of Eden, a realm placed in heaven rather than on earth, in Record of Ragnarok. When the serpent deceived and framed Eve, Adam boldly confronted heaven's court, biting into the apples of the tree of knowledge and casting them aside as he walked past the gods to stand by her side. The serpent deceived Eve and humanity was blamed. The serpent became angered, yet Adam struck him down himself, activating divine reflection to copy his attack and coming out on top. Afterwards, he got exiled from Eden with Eve, and he then promised her that they would create their own paradise together down on earth. Adam's divine weapon was a silver knuckle duster, forged through the Volander of the Valkyrie Rheinleaf. It was perfectly suited for his hand-to-hand combat style, amplifying his natural fighting prowess and allowing him to strike down divine beings directly. As the first human, Adam, Born in the image of the gods, his greatest gift was divine replication, a unique ability that allowed him to perfectly copy any move, technique, or ability he witnesses, be it human or godly. With this, Adam could mirror attacks such as Zeus's time-transcending fist that is thrown at the speed of 1 × 10 to the power of -21 of a second, and countered with equal or greater force. No other character in the series has been shown to be faster than him, thus far in Record of Ragnarok. Although Adam's divine replication made him nearly unstoppable, it carried a critical weakness. Every time he copied an opponent's technique, his eyes and nervous system were forced to process immense amounts of divine energy and information. Prolonged use causes his body to overheat and bleed from the eyes, nose, and ears. It is his unyielding selflessness and willpower that allowed Adam to continuously use this ability. Even when pushed past his physical limits in battle, he continued to fight for humanity's future. Even after death, his body refused to collapse immediately, leaving Zeus shaken. To Adam, there was no need for hatred or revenge. His only purpose in battle was to protect his children, humanity itself. Sasaki Kojiro is humanity's champion in the 3rd round of Ragnarok, chosen to battle the sea god Poseidon. He is known throughout history as humanity's greatest loser, and later, humanity's ultimate swordsman. Kojiro was famed as a master swordsman who suffered many defeats in life, but grew stronger through each loss. Kojiro is portrayed as a tall, scarred, and muscular elderly man, with long silver hair, sharp brows, and weathered features that marks years of hardship. He wears a flower-patterned red and orange haori, with a darker hakama tied with a red ribbon. He also carries an enormous sword as tall as himself, called an odachi. In life, his defeats were not signs of weakness, but steps in his pursuit of mastery. He would study every opponent who bested him, internalizing their techniques and surpassing them in time, never allowing a single defeat to halt his journey. Kojiro carried deep respect for all swordsmen, acknowledging those who sharpened his abilities through battle. He disliked empty victories. Once he surpassed an opponent, he had no interest in fighting them again. To him, life was about growth. This philosophy guided him to his final duel with Miyamoto Musashi on Ganryu Island in 1612. Although Kojiro had perfected his sword skills, Kojiro knew he could not win, and content with the knowledge he had lived for growth, he died smiling. After death, Kojiro trained endlessly in the afterlife, mentally simulating and mastering every moment and technique of every swordsman he encountered in life, eventually surpassing all of them, including Musashi. Kojiro possesses godlike swordsmanship prowess, with the Ganryu style being his main form of swordsmanship. It involves a series of skillful movements and techniques, using his blade named the Mono-ho Shizao, with incredible speed and precision. His strongest technique back from his time on Earth was called the Swallow Counter. It starts as a powerful downward swing, designed to make opponents dodge, but at the last moment, Kojiro reverses the blade's direction and strikes upwards at high speed, targeting the enemy's blind spot, making it nearly impossible to block or evade. During Ragnarok, Kojiro partners with the Valkyrie Hreist. Her unique nature enchants his blade with the firepower to go up against the gods, while also granting it the ability to transform into a set of daisho, dual blades when broken. Sasaki Kojiro's greatest ability is his Senju Muso, or unmatched anticipation of 1,000 moves. It is his innate talent that lets him memorize and analyze an opponent's movements, simulating countless of scenarios in his mind until he discovers their weakness. By observing subtle details such as breathing, stance, or even blinking, he can predict an opponent's attack patterns before a fight even begins. However, this ability strains his body and is not flawlessly accurate, especially if their opponent conceals their true techniques. Manjumuso, or Ultimate Vision of 10,000 Moves, is an evolved form of Senju Muso, developed mid-battle against Poseidon. This heightened perception let Kojiro read not only his opponent's movements, but also environmental signals, such as vibrations in the air or ground, allowing him to react with near-perfect anticipation. In the climax of his fight, Kojiro unleashes the Soen Zanko Banjin Ryoran, a devastating combination of strikes that cleaved through Poseidon's body and ended the god's 2-0 lead. For the first time ever, humanity secures a victory, and Kojiro, once mocked as the world's greatest loser, stood tall as its greatest swordsman. Jack the Ripper is humanity's representative in the 4th round of Ragnarok, where he faces the demigod Heracles. Jack is known as humanity's most infamous murderer, and the Dark Soul. Jack appears as a silver-haired man with a matching mustache, but he also carries heterochromia, having a left eye that's silver and a right eye that's deep red, behind a golden monocle. He also wears a grey Victorian suit, a blood red hat, coat, and trousers, accented with gold gears and white feathers. Jack carries the refined demeanor of a British gentleman, complete with sophisticated speech and regular Shakespearean quotes. However, underneath this polite facade lies a cold-blooded sociopath who revels in the fear of his victims, describing it as absolutely beautiful. Jack was born in the slums of London after the Industrial Revolution to a prostitute mother, Mary, and absent father, Jack Smith. His only source of comfort was his mother's seeming affection, which shattered when she revealed she never truly loved him. Mary confessed she had only kept him as a tool to draw closer to his father, Jack Smith, who left to go marry a noblewoman. Betrayed and traumatized, Jack choked his mother, as fear painted her soul with the color he had never seen before, a radiant shade of fear that captivated him like nothing else. This moment awakened in him a dark obsession with the color of fear, leading him to seek out and kill those enveloped in corrupt or depraved emotions. As London became gripped by a wave of brutal killings, Jack used his abilities to uncover the truth. The real murderer was a journalist, Luke Evans. After killing him and claiming the Jack the Ripper persona as his own, Jack disappears into the masses of London. Though physically weaker than most of the human fighters and gods, his keen intellect makes him a master assassin. While he was an active killer in London, Jack was able to elude capture and always stay one step ahead. Throughout his fight with Heracles, Jack was able to constantly set up traps beforehand, without being seen by the opponent and the entire crowd. Jack is quite capable of turning the entire environment into a weapon. Literally. His divine weapon, created by the 11th Valkyrie, Hlok, grants Jack the unique ability to turn anything that he touches, be it knives, piano wires, umbrellas, building debris, and even a pebble, into a divine weapon, capable of harming gods. Using this, he's able to turn the entire battlefield into a divine weapon, pointed straight towards Hercules. Although Jack uses many weapons, his most notable weapon skill is his proficiency with knives, being able to throw them with superhuman speed and accuracy. Jack's soul eye is a power that he has possessed since birth, allowing his right eye to perceive emotions as colors, fear as purple, anger as red, pride as blue, and love as yellow or orange. By reading even the subtle shifts, he can discern true intentions and manipulate others, a skill he relied heavily on during his killings and in forming a force bond with his Valkyrie. During the final moments in his battle with Hercules, Jack executed his signature move, Dear God, coating his gloves with blood and piercing through the god with his hands at a critical moment, securing a narrow victory for mankind. Raiden Tameemon, born Terukichi Seki, is known as the strongest sumo wrestler and is humanity's champion in the 5th round of Ragnarok, battling against the Hindu god Shiva. Raiden appears as a towering muscular man, with dark brown hair streaked with white, tied back in a ponytail, and his hands are massive and scarred from intense training. As a child, Raiden suffered from an excessive muscle condition that broke his own bones. As he grew up, with discipline, he mastered controlling his strength. Raiden's mother inspired him to use his strength to protect the weak, motivating him to become a sumo wrestler, to support his famine-stricken village. Despite his enormous strength, Raiden was gentle-hearted and dedicated, but eventually he sealed away his full power to avoid harming opponents in sumo wrestling. Raiden possesses immeasurable strength, considered the strongest in human history. His muscles grow uncontrollably, breaking his own bones with every movement. To survive, he created the 100 Seals, special muscle formations that suppress his overwhelming power and keep his body intact. His divine weapon, a supramuscular exoskeletal Mawashi belt gifted by the Valkyrie Thrud, allows Raiden to remove these limits, granting Raiden the complete control over his muscle mass. This allows him to freely shift and concentrate muscle power to enhance either offense or defense in any part of his body, amplifying his physical prowess dramatically. His attacks can shatter defenses and throw gods away with raw force. His muscle control extends to building defensive walls of flesh or channeling explosive energy strikes. Unleashing his full power by breaking the 100 Seals with Thrud's help, Raiden becomes nearly unstoppable. Yada Gurasu is Raiden's ultimate move, where he channels all his muscle power into a single palm strike. It has enough force to sever 2 of Shiva's arms and produce a shockwave that silences the entire arena. It is a forbidden technique due to the extreme strain it places on Raiden's body, risking fatal damage with overuse. Despite taking severe burns and damage from Shiva's flames and relentless onslaught, Raiden's indomitable will kept him fighting. During his final clash, we saw him use his ultimate move to overwhelm Shiva's defense, but Shiva managed to counter, severing Raiden's right arm and ending the fight. Raiden faced death with gratitude, thankful for the chance to fight with everything he had. Buddha is humanity's representative in the 6th round of Ragnarok, facing Zero Fuku and later Hajun. Despite originally being listed as a fighter for the gods, he is a prominent figure in the Dharmic pantheon and the founder of Buddhism, recognized as one of the 4 sages. Formerly a human named Gautama Siddhartha from Nepal, he attained enlightenment and ascended to godhood. In appearance, Buddha is a tall muscular man, wearing a navy blue tank top with an eye patch wearing rabbit design. His seafoam green hair with navy blue fades is slicked back into a large bun crowned with gold. He wears orange robes tied around his waist, extending to his hands, peach red tinted glasses, has elongated earlobes, and often sucks on a lollipop. Buddha possesses a relaxed and carefree attitude, not taking anything seriously, speaking freely and casually, often appearing unconcerned with rules or authority, including that of fellow gods. Buddha is fiercely independent, insisting that he only answers to himself and refuses to be controlled by anyone. He openly challenges powerful gods like Zeus and Loki without fear, yet his courage and strong sense of justice are undeniable. He is deeply devoted to protecting humanity, defying any divine orders when they threaten mankind and warns any gods who oppose him. Gautama Siddhartha was born a prince in Kapila Vastu, Nepal. Destined to be a great leader, he led a privileged life until meeting his dying relative, King Jataka, who lamented about the life imposed of duty. He made Siddhartha question his own existence. This revelation led him to seek true freedom and enlightenment. Siddhartha barged into Jataka's funeral ceremony and placed his coffin on a river stream to fulfill his lifelong wish of exploring the outside world, much to everyone else's horror. He abandoned his entire royal life, wife, son, and all of his possessions, traveling alone into the wilderness. He rejected religions that enforced fate and sacrifice, vowing to oppose any god who harmed innocent beings. In achieving enlightenment, he became the Buddha, dedicating himself to easing human suffering and guiding others onto the path of enlightenment. Physically, he possesses godlike strength and endurance, capable of injuring foes like Zirofuku with a single kick, and endures severe injuries while still fighting fiercely. His speed and reflexes allow him to dodge point-blank attacks and outmaneuver even Zeus and Hajun, aided by his precognitive ability, Perfect Enlightenment, which lets him foresee moves into the future by reading the aura of his opponent's souls. This ability grants him near impervious dodging skills, although it fails against those whose souls are shrouded in darkness. Buddha's signature divine weapon is the 6th Realm Staff, an oversized prayer wheel imbued with the power of the 6 Guardian Buddhas from Buddhist cosmology. The staff can morph into various weapons, including the 6 realms of existence. God Realm, a golden halberd called the 12 Divas Axe, used to slice opponents. Animal Realm, the Nirvana, a giant spiked club delivering devastating blunt force. Human Realm, Akshaya, a golden short sword effective in close combat. Asura Realm, Ahimsa, a massive shield that withstands powerful strikes. Hungry Ghost Realm, Salakaya, a huge scythe crowned with the lion's head, unleashed through Buddha's immense hatred. Buddha's powers also include the Shared Fate, a mystical ability allowing Buddha to link his destiny with others, boosting their potential and enabling humans to fight even gods. This ability was key in empowering the Valkyrie's Volunteer system, making Buddha an indispensable figure in the war against the gods. In the climactic battle against Hajun, Buddha faces relentless attacks, including Hajun ripping off his left arm and transforming it into a fiery sword. As Buddha's consciousness faded, Zirofuku's soul reached out to him, and together they formed a Volunteer into the Great Nirvana Sword, Zero, turning the tides of the battle. After dodging a seemingly fatal slash, Buddha struck Hajun's arm and torso, leading to his disintegration. Cheered by the crowd, Buddha stood victorious despite his wounds, embodying hope and resilience for humanity. Qin Shi Huang is humanity's representative in the 7th round of Ragnarok, facing off against Hades. Born as Ying Zheng, he was the first emperor to unify all of China, and is regarded as one of the greatest emperors of all time. He is known by titles such as the King of All Beginnings, the King of Men, and the Greatest King. Qin Shi Huang has a muscular build with broad shoulders, black hair, featuring a red streak on the right side, and black eyes, with wide white pupils. He wears a bare-shouldered robe, resembling those worn by Chinese empresses, a patterned blindfold covering his right eye, and has 2 centipede tattoos, one down on his right cheek beneath the blindfold, and another on his back. He also wears nail guards on his select fingers of both hands. Qin Shi Huang is extremely confident and proud of his status as the first emperor of China, boldly demanding respect and declaring himself king over all. He shows no fear of gods, openly challenging godly figures like Ares or Hermes, often acting upon his own will. In 260 BC, during the Battle of Changping, over 450,000 Zhao soldiers were executed by Qin general Bai Qi. The following year, Qin royal Zichu, then a Zhao hostage, fathered a child with a Zhao dancer. This boy, Ying Zheng, was abandoned by both parents and denied by his country. Raised in Zhao as a despised hostage, Ying Zheng endured constant hatred from those around him, smiling through the pain in hopes of lessening their scorn. At age 7, he met his caretaker, Chunyan, who at first disliked him, but grew close after discovering his condition, mirror-touch synesthesia, which caused injuries and hatred towards him to manifest physically on his body. Despite the suffering, he continued to smile, calling it his punishment. This condition is by Qin Shi Huang, who used to be considered as the most cursed prince in history. Chunyan comforted him, teaching him to embrace his feelings and assuring him he was not at fault for what happened at the Battle of Changping. She gave him a blindfold to ease his burden, becoming the first person who brought him true happiness. 2 years later, Ying Zhen became heir to the Qin. Zhao assassins ambushed his carriage. Chunyan defended him, killing several attackers despite fatal wounds. Before dying in his arms, she reveals she once cursed Qin after losing her own son at Changping, but Ying Zheng's kindness changed her view. She urged him to become the greatest king. Upon returning to Qin, Ying Zhen ascended the throne at 12, vowing to carry Chunyan's words with him. Years later, after conquering the 6 warring states, he climbed Mount Tai to face the demon god Chiyo, who demanded submission in exchange for legitimacy as emperor. Rejecting him, Ying Zheng battled against Chiyo for 6 days, mastering several martial techniques and naming them after his foe. In the end, he slew Chiyo, proving mankind no longer needed gods, and established himself as the king of all beginnings, the first true emperor of China. Qin Shi Huang has to constantly wear a blindfold while he fights in order to prevent mirror-touch synesthesia from triggering constantly. Despite having his vision constricted, Qin Shi Huang has no trouble fighting, seeing only the silhouettes of his opponents. When Qin removes his blindfold, he gains the ability to see the precise flow of qi within his opponent's body, enabling him to target critical points and weaken their attacks. His mastery of martial arts culminated in the creation of the Chiyo style, which integrates 5 fighting techniques, inspired by the legendary weapons of the demon god Chiyo: crossbow, sword, halberd, spear, and armor. This divine arsenal enables him to tactically weaken opponents by targeting vital chi points with invisible air bullets, absorb and redirect powerful blows, and execute devastating sword and kick attacks that can pierce and rend even divine flesh. Qin Shi Huang's divine weapon, granted by his Valkyrie partner, Alvitir, initially manifests as the Pauldron of Divine Embrace, a set of shoulder and arm armor that significantly amplifies his defense and the effectiveness of his martial arts. When the battle intensifies, Alvitir transforms this armor into the Qi Huang Gujian sword, a powerful close combat weapon that allows him to unleash his sword techniques at devastating precision. At the final moment of Qin's fight against Hades, he utilizes the Qi Huang Gujian sword, channeling all his strength and pride as the emperor into one final decisive strike. The Qi Huang guard and Yan cut shatters Hades' weapon and pierces his chest, securing an exhausting but hard-fought victory for humanity. Nikola Tesla represents humanity in the 8th round of Ragnarok, set to face Beelzebub, known as the ultimate mad scientist of his time. Tesla's legacy as one of the greatest scientific minds endures thanks to his groundbreaking inventions and revolutionary discoveries, often called the Child of Light, and humanity's one and only sorcerer, and also ultimate scientist. Physically, Nikola Tesla appears as a tall, lean man with curly brown hair parted in the front. His appearance is distinguished by a formal outfit, including a white shirt, black tie, waistcoat, and khaki pants. topped with a long jacket featuring unique black netted material. Notably, during Ragnarok, his body is largely covered in a blue and gold armor from his Volander, save for his head and face, where cybernetic enhancements are visible. His personality combines extraordinary creativity, intense curiosity, and a deep focus on his work. Tesla often immersed himself in his inner world, visualizing complex inventions mentally rather than through sketches or models. Tesla deliberately avoided romantic relationships and considered marriage a distraction from his scientific pursuits. Though shy and reserved, Tesla embraced a theatrical flair when demonstrating his inventions. Tesla's early life was shaped by his close bond with his older brother, Dane Tesla, who introduced him to invention through their secret lab, the Gematria Zone. When Dane was designing a windmill to double the village's drive efficiency, he worried it might fail. Tesla encouraged him, saying that failure is part of learning. However, tragically, Dane died when lightning struck him and his horse during a storm while he was checking his windmill. Tesla assured Al that he didn't have to apologize for asking Dane to make the windmill, because Dane would forever live on through science. Eventually, builders finished constructing the windmill based on Dane's designs, but didn't move. Determined to honor his brother's legacy, Tesla spent 6 years improving the design, finally succeeding at age 11. He declared that Dane lives on through scientific process. Even after death, Tesla remains committed to advancing science for the betterment of humanity, embodying the relentless pursuit of discovery that defined his earthly life. Nikola Tesla is hailed by Brunhild as humanity's only true sorcerer, whose genius intellect transformed the world through inventions that border on magic. His divine weapon is the Super Automaton Beta, a golden and blue mechanical armor created with the aid of fellow scientists and the Volander of his ninth Valkyrie, Gondul. This armor enhances Tesla's physical abilities, granting him electrokinesis, levitation, and teleportation capabilities. His fighting style revolves entirely around his scientific mastery, channeled through his divine weapon. Tesla can convert Gondul's life energy into ultra-high voltage, unleashing a barrage of electrifying attacks. He can propel himself with electrical bursts and deliver powerful plasma pulse punches, or variations like plasma pulse jet punch and plasma pulse punch twin. His signature ability is the Gematria Zone, Zone of the Gods, where his suit disperses super Tesla particles to create a cage of electricity. Inside this zone, an anti-gravity system activates, allowing Tesla to float and achieve instantaneous top speed with the Zero Max, and move unpredictably with the Tesla Step, even creating after images with Tesla Step Wonderful. Tesla's ultimate offensive and evasive maneuver is Tesla Warp, a form of teleportation made possible by concentrating super Tesla particles in an area. By synchronizing these particles with the super Tesla coil on his Volander, he can instantly teleport himself. However, each warp consumes one of his 3 coils, risking the destruction of Gondul and his own death if overused. This ability is also restricted to the confines of Gematria Zone for safety. Despite limited teleport uses left, Tesla strategically employs his Tesla Steps to gather super Tesla particles inside the Gematria Zone, enhancing his attacks. Beelzebub counters with the devastating Chaos technique, which destroys the arena and gravely wounds both fighters. Tesla survives by sacrificing one of his coils and launches an unending barrage of electrified punches, pushing the god to his limits. Although Tesla's clever plasma strikes and teleportation ultimately falter against Beelzebub's final technique, Sorath Resh, Satan's horns, Tesla's resolve inspires humanity to keep advancing, leaving behind a legacy of hope and progress even in defeat. Leonidas is humanity's representative in the 9th round of Ragnarok, facing Apollo. Known as humanity's ultimate rebel and the king of Sparta, he carries the legacy of the Spartan warrior code. He is a tall, muscular man marked by numerous battle scars, including a prominent long scar on his right side of his face. His silver hair is worn in a man bun, accompanied by a gruff goatee. When not in battle, he dresses casually, with a Hawaiian shirt and glasses, but on the battlefield, he dons military-style attire with blue camo pants, heavy boots, and a black shirt, always with a cigar in his mouth. Leonidas is a fiercely proud and defiant warrior who embodies the unbreakable Spartan spirit. Known as humanity's ultimate rebel, he despises submission to fate or divine authority, especially harboring deep hatred for Apollo for influencing Sparta's defeat. When Brunhild chose him for the 9th round of Ragnarok against Apollo, Leonidas showed his typical blunt arrogance, claiming he would rather prefer to fight early or last rather than fight in the middle rounds. He deeply respects strength and bravery, and takes pride in his scar he earned in battle. His main philosophy centers on the belief that while a person cannot choose their birth, they can choose how to live and die. Faced with the massive invading Persian army, led by King Xerxes I, Leonidas defied the Spartan elders and the Oracle of Apollo, which prevented any military action during a ceremony called the Carnea's Festival. Leonidas, refusing to delay battle, famously destroyed Apollo's statue, symbolizing his disdain for divine interference. Gathering a small force of 300 Spartans and select allied soldiers, Leonidas made a legendary last stand at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. For 2 days, they repelled waves of Persian attacks through superior tactics and sheer will. Leonidas dismissed most of the Greek army, but chose to stay with his men to fight to the death. Leonidas' divine weapon, the Aspis Shield, is a versatile metallic Aspis shield, provided by the Volunteer of the 5th Valkyrie, Gerolul. Shield can be used for close combat or extended via a chain to attack from a distance. It also has various forms that can be used for greater offensive power, including a spinning circular saw and a large hammer, and some others. Leonidas' signature techniques with the shield include the rapid-fire phalanx, Asantos, the long-range blade-embedded phalanx Anokos, and the devastating hammer strike, Phalanx Nemesis. The ultimate clash with Apollo and Leonidas, as Apollo transformed his shield into the slingshot of Artemis, catapulting himself at Leonidas with his arm turned into the lethal Argyrotokos arrow. Leonidas counters with his strongest attack, Phalanx Lambda, igniting his shield and charging with a shockwave. This clash results in Apollo's strike, punching a mortal wound in Leonidas. But Leonidas strikes back, landing a non-empowered, pure human punch on the god, an unprecedented attack, symbolizing his defiant spirit. Despite nearing death, Leonidas smiles, content that Sparta remains the strongest, and he fought a god on equal terms. His final moments inspire his Spartan followers, embodying the undying spirit and pride of the warrior king. Okita Souji is humanity's representative in the 10th round of Ragnarok, facing off against Susanoo no Mikoto. He's known as the Shisengumi's first unit captain, and he's regarded as one of the best swordsmen among humanity. Physically, Souji is depicted as a young adult with long dark brown hair, tied back in a ponytail, and piercing dark brown eyes that glow red when his demon child ability activates. He wears a checkered scarf and traditional samurai attire, including a purple-toned kimono under his Shisengumi Hayori, with a lean yet muscular frame. His eyes have feline-like slit pupils, reflecting his fierce and deadly spirit. Okita Souji is driven by a deep hunger for battle, and relishes facing strong opponents, fueling his desire to fight in Ragnarok with all his might. His demeanor shifts between polite and caring outside the battlefield to a brutal demon child during combat, demonstrating a ruthless and deadly instinct. He holds a strong sense of justice, openly condemning gods like Loki, whom he perceives as evil. Okita Souji was found by Isami Kondo at the age of 9 while protecting his sister from attackers. Though his sister rejected him as a monster, this encounter marked the first time Okita was treated with kindness and acceptance, which would deeply affect Okita. Kondo later adopted Okita as his son, despite him being a demon child. His killing of those thugs was driven by survival instinct, not cruelty. During the chaotic Bakumatsu era, Okita learned swordsmanship, not to kill for pleasure, but to protect his friends, and above all, Kondo. But Okita's past was also marked by tragedy from his illness. His condition progressively worsened, leading to long periods of weakness, preventing him from joining battles and forcing him to watch his comrades fight from afar. His final days were lonely and filled with sorrow, especially after learning of Kondo's death, which devastated him before he passed away quietly. Okita Souji is an elite swordsman whose abilities were forged during the constant life or death struggles of the Bakumatsu era. Central to his power is his demon child ability, which awakens when his heart pumps blood at the triple of the normal rate, activating his entire muscular system to grant superhuman strength, speed, and reflexes. This state causes his eyes to glow red and emanate a dark red aura, enhancing his attacks to the point where he can slice opponents clean in half. In this heightened state, Souji's speed is described as godlike, enabling him to vanish and appear seemingly instantaneously, leaving after images to confuse opponents. His ability to unleash multiple rapid slashes in a single moment overwhelms foes with a barrage of precise, powerful blows. Okita Souji's divine weapon is a katana gifted by the Volunder of the 6th Valkyrie, Skalmold. It's uniquely linked to Soji's past, present, and potential future abilities with the sword, enabling Soji to fight at the peak of his power, surpassing all previous limits, and posing a genuine threat to divine opponents, executing his swift and deadly techniques flawlessly. Soji's impressive swordsmanship includes the creation and execution of formidable techniques, such as the Tennin Rishin style, Sendanzuki, a triple thrust aimed simultaneously at the jugular, heart, and abdomen, requiring insane speed and precision. Another notable technique is the Tennin Rishin style, MP Raiten, a rapid onslaught of over 80 slashes, consolidated into a single overwhelming attack. As the battle reaches its peak, Susanoo attempts his ultimate invisible slash technique, a move so powerful it risks killing him with each use. Soji, however, matches this attack with his own ability, Tensho Sendanzuki, Heavenly Flight 3-stage thrust. Soji lunges forward at his opponent at immense speed, and then delivers 3 successive thrusts of his katana at his foe, that are projected beyond his katana's own range, aiming specifically for vital points. Soji's last attack secures humanity's victory in the 10th round. Simo Häyhä is humanity's representative for the 11th round of Ragnarok, where he was matched up against Loki. Nicknamed the White Death, Simo is regarded as humanity's ultimate sniper. He wears a heavy full-length winter coat with a hood, gloves, and boots designed for the cold climates, with his face mostly obscured by wooden gaiter to conceal his breathing and maintain stealth, similar to his real-life gear during the Winter War. His exposed eyes reveal a calm, focused sniper who strikes with deadly precision. Simo embodies a deeply selfless warrior archetype, willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, despite the horrors that accompany his role as a sniper. He hates killing, yet accepts it necessary to protect his comrades and nation. Unlike other battle-hardened fighters who may seek the thrill of combat, Simo fights out of duty and has a solemn sense of responsibility for it. During the war, Simo Häyhä operated in brutal winter conditions, where he took position in trees and snowy landscapes, effectively farming enemy soldiers and inspiring fear among his opposition. He was an unmatched force, earning admiration and praise from his comrades, but fear in the hearts of his enemies. Despite his deadly skills, Simo carried a heavy burden of mental anguish, with each kill weighed on his conscience, haunting him with memories and PTSD. Though respected and feared for his abilities, Simo absolutely hated the act of killing, and sought atonement for the lives he took, willing to endure immense suffering to continue protecting his homeland. Simo's main weapon is his trusty Finnish M2830 Moisen Nagant. Central to Simo's power is the Reaper contract, a pact with the Valkyrie, Radgadir, that allows him to transform his physical organs into bullets, with each shot costing him severe physical pain and damage. This risky power balances overwhelming offensive capability with extreme physical vulnerability, since each shot strains both Simo and his Valkyrie to the brink of death. Throughout the fight, Simo used his Reaper contract repeatedly, sacrificing organ after organ for an even more powerful shot. Physically, Simo exhibits godlike endurance, shrugging off the agony of losing organs to continue firing precise shots that can destroy multiple divine clones instantly. Additionally, Simo Häyhä's speed and reflexes allow him to appear seemingly invisible, as he fluidly switches positions in the battlefield, from trees to logs to vantage points without detection. His eyesight is legendary. He can perfectly identify and target foes from miles away, relying solely on iron sights without scopes. In the climax of Simo's fight against Loki, Simo unleashes his ultimate sniper shot, known as Ukon Vasara, or Afterglow in the Heavens. This technique involves creating a bullet from his pancreas, which he fires as a rapidly rotating projectile aimed for a headshot. The shot is the fastest and most precise he has ever fired, moving faster than Loki's own attack speed. Even with Loki's sharp reflexes and scythe-wielding defense, the bullet could not be fully evaded. This decisive shot earns Simo his 543rd kill, and secures humanity's victory in the 11th round of Ragnarok, marking the brutal end against the Norse god of mischief. Sakata Kintoki is humanity's representative in the 12th round of Ragnarok, facing the god Odin. Kintoki appears as a young and muscular man with sharp, short, blonde hair. He wears an open jacket, revealing sculpted abs and traditional hakama pants. A large scar or birthmark stretches from the right side of his forehead down to the tip of his long, straight-shaped nose. He sports a bandana with a sharp horn-like protrusion on the right side of his head. Kintoki is extremely tall, towering even over Buddha and the colossal Thor, Kintoki comes across as kind-hearted but blunt. He reliably responds to Buddha's request without hesitation, and even brought candles as gift for the gods once. He is fearless and confident when facing Odin in battle, fully believing in his strength to defeat the god. His personality balances warmth, loyalty, and a powerful sense of assuredness. His backstory within the Record of Ragnarok universe is ongoing, but we do know his backstory in Japanese folklore. He is known as a folk hero named Kintaro, a child of extraordinary strength raised by a mountain witch on Mount Ashigara. Kintoki displayed superhuman power from a young age, wrestling bears, uprooting trees, and befriending wild animals. Eventually, he was recruited by samurai Minamoto no Yorimitsu during the Heian period, and served as one of his many retainers, slaying demons and such. Sakata Kintoki uses a giant battle axe as his weapon of choice. Whether this weapon is a Volander is unknown. Michel Nostradamus is one of humanity's fighters, who will fight in a future match of Ragnarok. We don't know much of his character yet, but he is famously known as the legendary prophet. In the series, he is depicted as a small boy, with long pink and blue hair and green eyes, showcasing a feminine appearance. Nostradamus wears the same ornate clothing of wealthy men from his era, and at times a black cape, when smuggling the Valkyrie gull into Tartarus. Nostradamus is whimsical, playful, and often mischievous, delighting in pranks and teasing others, including wearing Brunhild's clothing, or deceiving the Valkyrie gull about the god's prospect in Ragnarok. In reality, Nostradamus was a French astrologer, physician, and reputed seer. His predictions, often written as poetic quatrains filled with symbolism, have captivated readers for centuries, for seemingly foretelling major historical events. He's considered as one of the strongest humans summoned to Ragnarok, serving as a wildcard and a key strategist for humanity. He once nearly destroyed Bifrost and was cast into Tartarus, a fate shared by no other human in existence. Grigori Rasputin. He has not been seen or mentioned in the Record of Ragnarok story yet, but in real life, Grigori Rasputin was a Russian mystic and faith healer, born in 1869 in a Siberian peasant family. He rose to prominence in the early 20th century by gaining the trust of Tsar Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra, largely due to his alleged ability to heal their son's Alexei's hemophilia.